Welcome back to Double Your Sales Now. I'm super excited to have you here with me today, and it's just going to be us. I felt this push to bring this message to all of our listeners and to you because I think it's such an important time to be connecting and to be focusing on what's next. And today we're going to talk about 3 steps to take now to move from surviving to thriving. And I've talked about that in different ways, but I wanted to bring this message directly to you because I feel like it's so important for you to have that mindset right now. So a couple things before we dive into that. First, grab a pen and paper because I do want you to take some notes and I want you to really think about what is going to be most important for you as you move forward and what steps you can take. If you haven't yet, go to salescoachnow.com/giveaway. And when you leave us a review on iTunes, you take that, just copy that review, send it to us, and we'll send you some really cool gifts related to my book, One Great Goal, and a lot of other cool things that we're doing right now. So definitely go to salescoachnow.com/giveaway. Also, if you haven't yet, please go to salescoachnow.com/gift because we do have a special gift for you. It's a PDF you can download right now that'll help you take your sales to the next level. So definitely go there and check that out. What's been on my heart for the past few weeks is this gap between people who are thriving in their businesses right now and people who are just surviving. And first and foremost, my heart goes out to everyone who's been affected by COVID-19 and the pandemic. And we have lost souls on this planet. So this conversation we're going to have today is not to minimize that by any means. Instead, it's, to send love to all those people who have been affected health-wise, financially, in all of those areas. And gratitude, of course, always to our first responders and everyone else on the front lines, our nurses and doctors who are out there helping us stay healthy and get healthy and saving a lot of lives. So starting there. Having said that, what I've noticed over the past couple of weeks is this divide between who's doing well and who's not. And the divide it seems like people are just split down the middle. Like either people have some kind of given up or stopped in their businesses, even when they could be moving forward. Like I certainly recognize those businesses that had to shut down. But I also know some of those businesses that had to shut down who did pivot, who are ready to come back and are going to come back more profitable than ever. And they're ready. So they had that mindset. And then businesses that could continue to move forward, who have moved forward in such, incredible ways and are actually thriving right now. A lot of our clients are having some of their best months ever during the pandemic. And it's not like they're in some special, they're not like making PPE or something like that. It's not like they have some special thing that's happening. They're still in the same business they were in before. And I can tell you in my own business, we're coming off of record months right now, like just really moving forward, which surprised me because I remember at the front end of this pandemic, certainly I had a lot of resistance. I had a lot of fear. And for a week, I was in that paralyzed place of not knowing how to move forward. But I want to share with you what we did in my company, what I did to move forward, the steps that I took, and also the steps that we've helped our clients take to move forward. Because here's the thing, it's certainly not too late to thrive, right? It's never too late to thrive. It's never too late to move out of survival into thriving. But so much of it starts up here in our mind and then, moves into action. And so we are going to talk about mindset today as well. Just this week, I was talking to a client who shared a story that in her own company, and she works for in a very large, we'll say financial firm. I'm not going to say the company's name to protect their privacy. But what's interesting and what she shared is that they're only 1% off their mark for the year in terms of what their financial sales stretch goals were, only 1% off. But when they looked at the data, what they found was that half of their employees, their team members, the people, their sales force, half of them were stopped and basically saying this, no one wants to do business with them right now. And the other half were saying this has been the best time to be in business for them. And they've picked up all these new clients and et cetera. And even though half have stopped and are stuck and the other half are thriving, 50% of that sales force has gotten that company to be only 1% off the mark of where they wanted to be at this time this year, which to me is mind-blowing. Like, think about that, right? But again, it goes back to the group of people who made the decision to thrive right now, they are. And the group who stopped are barely surviving. And so when I say barely surviving, I mean, like, they're not selling a lot. They're surviving, right? They're fine. They probably have a commission of some, or a base salary of some sort. Like, they're fine, but they're stuck in, like, they're stuck in a certain narrative. And so it's so important to pay attention to your thoughts, your beliefs, and what your narrative is right now. What's the story that's running for you about what's happening? Because when you tune into that, that's where you can make that shift. And for those of you who are doing well right now, but you haven't given yourself permission to thrive yet, this is for you too. Like, this is for everyone who wants to make a shift and get to that next level, whatever that is for you. But especially for people, like, if you just feel like you've been hanging on, trying to get through this, I want to encourage you to move out of that thinking. I'm going to show you how to do it because I want you to move into thrive thinking. That's what we're going to call it. Thrive thinking. Okay. All right. So if you haven't gotten pen and paper out yet, I want to encourage you to do that because I do want you to take some notes. I want you to take some notes for yourself and, take some notes as we're moving through this so that you can make a shift and start to move forward. All right. So there's 3 steps. I like to keep things simple, right? There's 3 steps. And the 3 steps to really move from surviving to thriving right now are decide, shift, and move. Okay? Decide, shift, and move. Let's keep it simple. It is that simple. Okay? Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, right? Sometimes things can be simple and it can be kind of like, I got to do some work around it, and that's okay. But decide, shift, and move. First, decide. I heard a coach say this a long time ago, that the root of the word decide means to close the door on everything else. Okay? I like to think of it as, and I share with my clients, to burn your backup plan. You first have to decide to thrive. So let's all write that down, right? Decide to thrive. It is a decision. And it's a decision that I made at the front end of the pandemic after having, just a lot of, like, having a very bad week. The first week was very bad for me. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I was kind of a mess. I was like, what is happening? My brain could not see the pattern forward. I felt super stuck. I didn't know what to do. It was just like, what's happening, right? No one could. And so I stopped. And then I had a moment. And the moment was like, I heard this voice or whatever, however we get downloads, right? For me, it's like I hear this stuff in my head. And it was like, Ursula, practice what you know. You know what to do. You know how to move out of this. Get moving. What? Of course what? Like, practice what I preach? How about that for a start, right? And I said to this voice that was in my head, I was like, yeah, but this is a pandemic. Things are shutting down. We have no idea what's going to happen. And then I heard, you decide. You decide how you're going to move forward. You decide how you're going to move through the pandemic. It's up to you. You get to decide. And I went, wow, yeah, of course. Just like every other goal I've manifested or things I've manifested in my business and in my life, you make the decision first. You get all in. So I said, enough feeling sorry for myself because that's what I was doing. Enough jumping into fear because that's what I was doing. Enough getting just stuck and, feeling bad. I made the decision, no matter what, my business is not only going to survive, we are going to thrive. And that was the word I used. I said, we're moving from survival to thriving again. We're not just going to get by. And meanwhile, my whole calendar was obliterated, right? Like I speak for a living, right? I'm out, I do public speaking, we do live events, everything canceled. Now, thankfully, we have this cool tool, Zoom. We have by the way, there's lots of other tools out there. Zoom was what we were using and it was easy to use. And I thought, here we go. We're going to move everything online. And I had a lot of resistance about moving our sales camps, which are our boot camps, if you're not familiar with our classes, moving our boot camps online, because I thought there's no way we're going to be able to create the magic that happens shoulder to shoulder in a classroom. There's just no way. So that was my limiting beliefs, which we'll get to in a moment. So first you have to decide to thrive. So write that down. Make a decision. you're going to stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're going to stop listening to everybody else's narrative. You're going to stop watching everybody else's path, and you're going to decide right now that you're going to thrive. It's a decision, and you got to be all in. Once you make that decision, you'll notice that some limiting beliefs will show up, right? And your brain's like, oh, right. Oh, you're going to thrive in a pandemic, right? That's what happened for me. And so I had to listen, and I'm like, well, what's my limiting belief? Where am I really stuck with this? And I was stuck in the thought that number one, we couldn't take the experience we have when we're elbow to elbow with each other in a classroom, and we couldn't have that online. Like we just couldn't. Like I was so super stuck around that. So step number 2 is to shift. So identify that limiting belief and shift it. So I asked myself, all right, Ursula, do you really know that you can't do that? No, I had no idea, right? I hadn't done it. So how would I know that I couldn't create that same magic online, or that we, my team, that we couldn't create that? So I shook that tree a little bit. I got on the phone and I called Rebecca Hall, who's a master coach at Sales Coach Now, and she and I do the sales camps together. And we talked about it, right? I reached out. Sometimes you got to reach out and get that support, right? Get other viewpoints. And she agreed with me. She's like, Ursula, we really don't know, right? We've never tried it. Why not just try it? All these other companies are moving online. They're going to figure it out. We need to figure it out too, right? Like just figure it out. So we spent hours, and I spent days redoing the curriculum, not really redoing, but like repositioning it so it could be delivered online. So just taking the parts and figuring out how I could make this, that was the question I asked myself, how do I make this part just as magical virtually? How do we take this exercise and duplicate it through Zoom in a breakout room? Like we pulled it all apart and we put it back together. How do we add laser coaching in so people get that support they need the entire time? Put it all back in. It was a relief, I have to tell you, like finally getting it all together, getting the class, getting the dates on the calendar. And then, I told the team, I said, it's ready. Like go talk to people, see if do they want to take sales camp virtually? Because we did have a lot of people who, needed the class, had signed up for it, had registered. And I said, we'll of course support whatever decision they make. If they want to wait, that's fine. If they want to jump in online, let's do it. The classes filled up faster than we could have imagined. Not only did they fill up with students who were waiting to take sales camp because they needed it, right? They needed the support, but we started to offer it to the community, and sales camp started to fill up. So now instead of 2 a month, we're doing 3 a month, which is kind of crazy, but super fun for us. And what I learned as I look back now, because now I can smile, I'm relieved, like we moved through it. Once I shifted that limiting belief regarding it not being possible, then the way showed up, right? So I made the decision I was going to move forward and thrive. I shifted my limiting belief about why virtual sales camp wasn't possible, right? Why we couldn't create the same magic, blah, blah, blah. Shifted that, ran the classes. We've had several very successful sales camps already virtually, and we have tons more on the calendar coming up. And it not only did it work well, it kind of blew us away. Like the day after the first virtual sales camp was over, I was on the phone with Rebecca, and we kind of sat back in awe of the breakthroughs that happened for our clients, the shifts that happened for our clients, the gratitude from our clients that they had the opportunity to take the class virtually and do the work, and the way they gelled together and the way they support us. Because one of the things we love at Sales Coach Now is the communities that we create. And there's always a micro community that happens at Sales Camp, which we didn't think we could recreate online, which was just a lie. So there was these relationships that had been created, and these new people that were part of our community now. Like it was so much better than we even imagined it could be. Like we felt high. It was so exciting. So I'm sharing that because I made the decision I was going to thrive. I shifted the limiting beliefs that were coming up, and I stepped into what was possible. And then the third step, which we've already kind of talked about, is that you have to move. You have to get moving. Okay. So you're going to make the decision. You're going to shift those limiting beliefs, right? You're going to figure out what's not true about those limiting beliefs and start to look at what is possible, what else is true, right? And then you're going to get into action, because after you do the first 2 steps, right? You make the decision to thrive. Okay. Then you shift the limiting beliefs that are coming up and ask what's not true about them. And third, the next steps show up. They will. And that to me is what's So powerful, because we see this happen with our clients all the time. And you can tell, like, I geek out on this stuff. Like, it's like Christmas for me, right? It's like opening the Christmas presents, because we watch our clients make the decision. They get the clarity. They know their numbers. They know where they want to go. They make the decision that they're all in. They confront those limiting beliefs, the lies, the illusions that show up, and they're like, oh, that's not true, or that's not true, or what do I really want to believe about this, right? They confront all of that. And then the first steps show up, and they move. They start to move. They start to take those steps, and the next step shows up, and the next step shows up. I was just on the phone with a client this morning, and after having a record-breaking first quarter of this year, and then having the pandemic hit and basically going to zero, and having the conversation with him when the pandemic hit to not give up, like he had to do some layoffs and some other things. I said, don't give up, don't stop, keep going. And now seeing what he's coming into, the opportunities, he's hiring, like he's hiring everybody back. He's hiring new people. He's going to have so much business that he just redid his projection for the next 3 years. That made me want to cry, because that's what it's about. That's what's possible right now for him and for you. I just want to make sure that you hear this, and you hear it at the deepest part of your soul. You do not have to just survive right now. And for some of you, like, maybe the business you were in has come to an end. And if that's where you are, I'm sorry to hear that. And at the same time, you're clearing the deck for something incredible to show up next, as long as you're open to it. As long as you make the decision that you're going to not just survive, but you're going to thrive. That's what's possible for all of us. So look down at your steps again. Are you all in? Did you make the decision, right? Have you decided to thrive? You've got to step into that. The second and going back to that, so under decide, I want you to get clarity. What does it mean to thrive for you, right? What does your bank account look like? How much money is in there? What does your business look like? Who are you working with? Have you changed your packages? Because I think the pandemic has given us all an opportunity to make major shifts in our business and let go of the things we no longer wanted to do anyway, right? And create things in a new way. So part of that decision is not just, okay, I'm in. It's I'm in, and here's what I want. Here's what I want over the next 6 months. Here's what I want over the next year. Here's how I want my team to look. Here's, on and on, okay? Shift. The next step is to shift. So the second you make the decision, this is what I want, the limiting beliefs start to, whoa, Ursula, that's not possible. Start to confront those limiting beliefs, right? What's not true about the limiting belief that, my business can't thrive right now? What's not true about the fact that I can't take my classes online and have just as much magic happen as I did before when we were shoulder to shoulder, right? What's not true about that? So dig into that limiting belief, or those illusions that are there that aren't true, so that you can see what else is possible. Because look for the opposite. Like, why isn't it possible for you to thrive? Why isn't it possible? And what would thriving look like? I just asked one of our communities, I said, what 2 things would be different in your business if you were thriving again? Your bank account, your clients, right? How you spend your time, a feeling of peace or freedom. Like, decide what will be different and what will be shifted. And finally, you do have to move, right? I wish we could just, sit here and manifest at our desk, which would be fun. And sometimes we do, right? Sometimes things easily show up, but you're probably gonna have to take some action. Like in my example, I needed to go and, change the agenda, right? Because it's a little hard to stay on for 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day on Zoom. So we made those adjustments. We put breaks in where we needed them. We moved the curriculum a little bit so that people could get it. We created the breakout room experience so people could come together in those small groups. Like, we made the tweaks. I had to move. And then I had to take that and go to my team and say, hey, look, here we are. It's time for me to lead us through this. Like, now we're going to put the classes out there. We're going to see who's ready to go. And the people started showing up. And not only that, but we've had, since I made that decision, we've also had a lot of private training show up. So we offer a lot of public classes, but we've had a lot of private training, people reaching out saying, Ursula, we need you, we want you to deliver private training for our entire team. That couldn't have happened if I hadn't made the decision about, where I want the company to go, what I want it to look like, what thriving looks like. The second I made the decision, the way showed up, and then I had to move, right? So you're going to have to move. You're going to have to take those steps. But I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Awesome. Well, if you enjoyed today's show, please leave us comments below. We love to hear from you. We love to hear from our listeners. I also want to ask, if you haven't yet, please leave us a review on iTunes, and then go to salescoachnow.com/giveaway. You can put it there and we'll send you some cool gifts. And it also, the great thing about leaving a review is it helps other people see how the show is helping you during this time. And that helps other people, right? Then they can get the same support that you've been receiving, so they can move from surviving to thriving. And finally, if you haven't been to sales camp yet, you can be anywhere in the world and join us now, right? That's awesome. I would love for you to join us at Virtual Sales Camp, and our podcast listeners get a special price to do that. So you get a special price for listening. All you have to do is email us at contact@salescoachnow.com. Again, that's contact@salescoachnow.com. Let our team know that you're interested in joining us at a Virtual Sales Camp. They'll get you all the details, and we'll support you in that process. All right, everybody, it's time. It's time to move from surviving to thriving. Thanks for being with us, and make this your best month yet.